The last conversation you had with someone you loved, the last one before they were gone, was not the last thing they wanted to say to you. I have believed this for a long time, not because it is comforting, though it is, because of what I have witnessed in over 40 years standing at that edge, the place where the living and the dead are separated by something thinner than we think and far more permeable than most people are ever told. We carry so much, those of us left behind. We carry the words we said and the words we didn't. The phone call that ended too quickly. The hospital visit where there was nothing left to say because the machines were doing all the breathing. And in the small hours of the night, lying there in the dark, a question that most people never say out loud. Did they know? Did they know how much I loved them? Did they die with the misunderstanding still between us? Did they carry into eternity the silence that had grown between us? The argument, the distance, the year we barely spoke? Did they know what I could never quite get the words right to say while they were still here to hear it? I have seen that question on the faces of people sitting across from me, in rectories, in hospital chapels, in sacristies after funerals, for more than 40 years. They don't always name it, but it is always there, sitting just behind the eyes, heavy. I'm Father David. I've spent the better part of my priesthood walking with people through exactly that kind of weight. And what I want to offer you today, not as a comfortable word thrown from a safe distance, but as something I believe with everything I have seen and been shown across a very long life of ministry, is this. Your loved one has things they want you to know, not vague reassurances, not spiritual noise, specific things. And before this is over, I am going to tell you what those things are. But I want to start somewhere that may surprise you. The Book of Wisdom, Chapter 3, verse 1. It is one of the most luminous sentences in all of Scripture, and one of the least quoted from the pulpit. I think it is least quoted precisely because it is so radical that most people, if they sat with it long enough, would find it changes everything. The souls of the righteous are in the hand of God, and no torment will ever touch them. Read that again, slowly. The souls of the righteous are in the hand of God, not drifting, not diminished, not somewhere cold and silent waiting, held. Right now, as you sit here, held completely in the hand of God. The verse goes further. In the eyes of the foolish, they seem to have died. Seemed. That is the word the sacred author chose. Not died, seem to have died. Because from where we stand, from the side of grief, of empty chairs at Sunday dinner, of phones that no longer ring, it looks like death. It feels like the end of something. But from the other side of that threshold, they are not less than they were. They are more alive, more aware, more free than anything they experienced in this body, in this world, in all of their years on this earth. The Book of Wisdom ends that thought with 4 words that I have returned to 100 times over. They are at peace. And from that peace, from that fullness of life, that clarity, they see things about this world, about you, with a precision that was simply not available to them while they were still here. The fear, the pride, the ordinary human fog that blurs what we see in each other, all of that is gone. What remains is love, stripped bare, clarified, stripped of everything that distorted it when they were still in this life. A woman named Clara came to see me once, a Thursday afternoon in November. She sat in the chair across from my desk, holding her coat folded in her lap, like she hadn't quite decided yet whether she was going to stay. and she asked me something I have carried with me ever since. She said, "Father, do you think she knows? After everything, after all of it, do you think she actually knows?" I'm going to tell you what I told her, but I need to show you something first. Because before I can give you the answer, I need to show you the weight of what Clara was carrying. Because I believe you may be carrying something very close to it yourself. Don't leave yet. The part that changes everything is still ahead. Clara told me about her sister that Thursday afternoon. Her name was Margaret. They had grown up close in the way only sisters can be, the way where you know exactly which words will draw blood, and sometimes use them anyway. And about 6 years before Margaret died, they had used those words, both of them, at a family gathering that ended earlier than it should have, over something that, and I want to say this right because the detail matters, over something that Clara herself could barely reconstruct the logic of by the time she sat across from me. 6 years of Christmas cards that said nothing real. 6 years of second-hand updates through their mother, who tried to be a bridge between two daughters who had both become too proud to cross toward each other. Clara had picked up the phone twice, put it back down, told herself there would be a better moment, when things were less loaded, easier. Margaret died on a Tuesday in March, a car accident. Nobody's fault. A patch of ice on a road she drove every single day. Gone in an instant. No phone call, no goodbye. Nothing but 6 years of silence, and then a different kind of silence altogether. Clara sat across from me, coat still folded in her lap, and said, "I need to know, Father. I need to know if she died hating me." I want to stop there for a moment, because I think many of you have a version of that question. Maybe not those exact words. Maybe it is quieter than that. Maybe it is only a low-level ache that lives underneath everything else, something you have never quite been able to name. The fear that they died not knowing, that the last impression they had of you was not the truest thing about what you felt. That love was there, it was always there, and they never saw it clearly. That is not a small thing to carry. I have watched it hollow people out, quietly, over years. And I am going to be honest with you here. When Clara asked me that question, I did not reach immediately for something comforting to say, because she was not asking for comfort. She was asking for truth. And in a long priesthood, I have learned that the people who come to me with the sharpest grief are almost never asking to feel better. They are asking to know what is real. So let me tell you what is real. The first thing your loved one wants you to know, and I believe this with a certainty that has only deepened over 40 years walking with the dying and the grieving, is this. They do not see you the way you see yourself. Here on this side of death, we live inside our failures. We carry the worst versions of the things we said and did, polished by guilt, until they are larger than they ever actually were. The argument that played on a loop for years, the letter we never sent, the visit we kept postponing. From inside that grief, those things fill the whole frame. They become the story. But from where your loved one now stands, and the Church has taught this with great consistency, and the mystics who have written about the life beyond have confirmed it in their own language. From where they now stand, they see the full truth of who you are. Not just the argument, not just the distance, the whole of you. Padre Pio of Pietrelcina, the Italian Capuchin friar who bore the wounds of Christ on his body for 50 years, and who remains one of the most documented mystical figures of the last century, received throughout his life communications from souls who had gone before him, people he had known, strangers, And what those souls communicated in account after account was not grievance, not anger, not the carrying forward of earthly hurt. It was urgency of a completely different kind. The urgency of love that has been clarified, stripped of every distortion, trying to find its way back to the people it was attached to. Padre Pio once told a man in grief, very much like Clara's, grief over a relationship that ended in estrangement, in silence, that the soul, once it sees God, sees every human relationship it has ever had as if in full light for the first time. And what it finds in that light is that the love was always there, underneath the hurt, underneath the years, underneath everything that had grown up between you like a thicket. The love was always there. And from where they now stand, it is that love that remains, not the wound, the love. I told Clara that, slowly, the way you set something heavy down beside a person who has been carrying it alone. She looked up at me, and I saw something shift in her face. Not relief, not yet, but a loosening. Like a door that has been bolted shut for years, not opening, but beginning to give just slightly. But there was more. And what comes next is the part I believe she needed most. The part, I suspect, that you came here for today. There is a second thing your loved one wants you to know. And this one, I have to tell you, is the one that tends to land in a very specific place. They received everything you gave them, including the things that never made it into words. I have sat with people who spent years punishing themselves over a conversation they never had, a call they didn't make, a visit that kept getting postponed. They carried the weight of all that unspoken love as if it had simply evaporated, as if, because it was never articulated, it somehow didn't count. As if love that lived only inside a person, never quite finding its way out, was love the other person never received. That is not how this works. There is a passage in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 2, that I have read at more funerals than I can count, and that I still do not believe most people hear at their full depth. Jesus is speaking to his disciples the night before he dies. He says, "In my Father's house there are many dwelling places. I go to prepare a place for you." A place prepared, for you, specifically, not a general destination, a room shaped to receive the exact person you are with the exact history you carry. Which means that what God is preserving in the life to come is not some stripped-down version of you, the soul with all its attachments removed, its loves filed neatly away. The person, the whole person, with the whole history of what and whom that person loved. Which means your loved one carried into eternity every bond that was real, including the bond with you, including every act of love you directed toward them, spoken and unspoken, expressed and held quietly inside because you couldn't find the right moment or the right words or enough courage. From where they now stand, those acts of love are visible, not symbolic, received. The prayers you have prayed for them in the dark, counting beads at 2 a.m. when you cannot sleep, they know. The candles lit, the masses offered, the moments when you drove past somewhere you used to go together and had to pull over because the grief came up faster than you expected. They know. Not because they are watching like a record being kept, but because love leaves a mark in the spiritual order that does not dissolve at death. Padre Pio said once, and I have turned this sentence over many times, that the love between two souls is never wasted, not one moment of it. It goes somewhere, it does something. It counts in ways that eternity will eventually make fully clear. Now, the third thing. And this is the one most people are not ready for. Your loved one wants you to live. Not in a year, not when the grief becomes more manageable, or the empty chair at the table finally stops feeling like a missing limb. Now, today, in the ordinary days you are being given right now. I say this because I have watched devoted, faithful, genuinely good people slowly come to a standstill after a loss. Not dramatically, no collapse, just a quiet decision made below the level of awareness to stop investing fully in this life, to sit near the door and wait, to tend the grief the way you might tend a grave, carefully, faithfully, as the primary occupation. A man named Bernard came to see me once, 78 years old. He had lost his wife of 51 years the previous winter. He told me, in a voice so quiet I had to lean forward to hear it, that he had stopped cooking, stopped opening the curtains in the morning. He went to Mass, he said his prayers, he did everything right. But he was, he told me, just waiting. I'm just waiting, Father. I'm waiting to go where she is. I understood it. I told him I understood it completely. And then I asked him, Bernard, if she could tell you one thing right now, do you think it would be to stop living until you can be with her again? He sat with that for a long time, longer than I expected. Then he said very quietly, no, that's not what she'd say. No, it isn't. Because from where they stand now, from that fullness, that clarity, they see something we cannot see from here. That every day you are given is not an obstacle between you and them. It is a gift you have not yet fully opened. That you're continuing to live, to be present, to love, to show up for the people who still need you in this world, is not a betrayal of the person you lost. It is, I believe, precisely what they want most for you. We are almost there, but Clara's story isn't finished, and the way it ended, what she said as she stood to leave, I believe it is the closest thing to the answer you came here looking for today. Clara stood up to leave. She had been in that chair for almost an hour, longer, I think, than she had intended when she sat down. She picked up her coat, folded it over her arm the same way she had been holding it the whole time, and walked to the door. She had her hand on the frame, and she stopped. She turned back, and what she said, when she finally had the courage to say it, I want you to hear it the way I heard it, because it is the closest thing to a summary of everything we have talked about today. She said, I think she always knew. I think she knew the whole time. I just needed someone to tell me I wasn't making it up. I want you to sit with that for a moment. Not because it is a tidy ending. It isn't. And I would be doing you a real disservice if I pretended that one conversation with a priest closes a wound the way Clara's had been opened. But something shifted in that room. Something that I can only describe as a loosening of something that had been held too tight for too long. And I believe it shifted because the truth, when you finally allow yourself to hear it, has a gravity that comfort alone cannot match. I told you at the beginning, the last conversation you had with someone you loved was not the last thing they wanted to say to you. I meant it. And Clara, standing at the door of my rectory on a Thursday afternoon in November, gave me the most honest evidence I have ever had for why that is true. The love was always there. She had always known it. She just needed permission to trust what she already knew. This is what I want to leave you with. Your loved one is not frozen in the last moment you shared with them. They are not standing at some threshold in the form you last knew them, holding a grievance, replaying the argument, carrying the weight of what was left unresolved between you. The clarity they now live inside has dissolved all of that. Not erased it, dissolved it. the way full light dissolves the distortions that darkness creates by making things seem larger or more permanent than they ever actually were. What remains is the love. It was always the love. And they want you to know, with a specificity I am certain they would put into words if they could find a way through, that what they see when they look at you is not the failure. It is the fullness of who you are, the faithfulness, the grief itself, which proves the love was real and never stopped being real. Every prayer said in the dark, every candle, every rosary, every moment you drove past somewhere you used to go together and had to pull over because the grief came up too fast. All of it reaching further than you know, all of it received. They want you to stop apologizing for the things that cannot be changed. They want you to live with your whole heart in the days that are still ahead of you, because they understand now, with a precision they simply did not have while they were still here, that life is not the waiting room, it is the gift. And every day you show up for it, for your family, for your faith, for the small and wholly ordinary moments that make up a human life, that is not a turning away from them, that is you becoming more fully the person they have always loved, and they are waiting. The Gospel of John says it plainly in the words of Jesus himself, spoken on the night before he died. I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, you may be also. The reunion is not a consolation, it is a promise from the mouth of God, and your loved one, from where they now stand, knows that promise with a certainty you will one day share. Patient, certain, close. Every week I come here and sit with you, not with easy answers, but with the truths I have spent 40 years learning in the company of the dying, the grieving, and the faithful. If what we shared today has reached you somewhere real, I hope you will come back. There is still so much more I want to tell you. Subscribe and stay close, because I believe God brought you here today, to this video, at this moment, for a reason that does not end when this is over. Now let me pray over you before you carry this back into your day. May the God who holds your loved one in his hands today hold you in those same hands, gently, completely, without condition. May every word that was left unsaid between you find its way home, carried by the one who has always known exactly what you meant. And may you live fully and without guilt until the day you see them again. Go in peace.